Alright guys, so this will be a review of Motorart's Volvo L150E and 150th scale. I want to put out there that this model is actually very fragile in some ways, and there's one thing that I just really don't care for on it. So I've mixed feelings about this model, but for the most part I very much enjoy it. This review won't be that long, so I won't have it in, the normal different parts. But to get started, I want to put out there that when you do take it out of the box or even handle it, these fenders here break off very easily. So make sure you have some crazy glue nearby. They're very easy to put back on. Another thing is that the articulation on it is very bad, and I'm going to show it right here. It only turns right there, and I'll turn to right there. Don't know why they did that or how it was even approved by Volvo, but it was, and I just can't figure out why. But for the most part, the model is actually really nice besides that. So to get us started here, I'll start with the bucket. And one thing I want to say is I like this bucket a lot because there are no teeth on it. So it's pretty much a sand bucket or something that you see on a roadwork project. It looks like it does come with a quick coupler, but unfortunately it cannot come off it. I don't know if they meant to put that as a quick coupler, as you could see right there, but the model will not come off as much as I try. Of course, I don't want to break it either. Nice thing about it is it's almost like a semi-gloss color, so it's not too shiny or anything. And for those wondering, this will also stop the material from going onto the linkage. Cylinders on this model are okay. You can see the cool thing about it is you can actually display it driving with a load. It's not like any other or many other loader models where the bucket will only come back that far. This will actually come back very far when the boom is lowered. Going on to the rest of the boom, it will raise to around right there, which is very reasonable. I feel like if it would go any higher, it wouldn't look as good, but I feel like it also needs to go just a little bit more higher. If we look at the boom, you can see that there is warning decals on it, which is very cool. And the rest of it's pretty much straightforward. There's really not much to it. If you do lower the bucket, though, sometimes the boom will fall, and you can't really position the cylinders some way. It's pretty much a typical Motorart model where sometimes the cylinders stay and sometimes they don't. It definitely will not hold with a load. The fenders are plastic, and they're also very delicate, like I stated before, which is kind of a bad thing because it's mainly just a shelf model. The good thing about a fair amount of plastic is that it is actually pretty detailed, and once you get past the arms, the rest of the model actually looks very detailed, and I like that a lot. The rims and the inside of them are actually very detailed. And the one thing I also want to point out there is that I think the tires look very large and wide, and I like that a lot. It gives it a very, I guess, aggressive look, you could say. I just really like that a lot. Above the fenders, you can see there are headlights over here. I also like that a lot. It gives it a very realistic look to it. And if we look on the cab over here, we could see a windshield wiper. Inside of the cab, and I guess this is the best way to show it, go from the side, is actually really nice. Surprisingly, to the right side of the driver, you can see, I think you could see on the camera, you could see those colored labels. I guess those represent the screen. There you go, right there. So I'm going to give the inside of the cab very nice, and I normally don't go over the inside of the cab too often. Below the cab, the catwalk to get inside it does have texture to it. Unfortunately, I believe it is plastic. I'm still unsure about that. But if we go down here to these, that is also plastic, which gives me reason to believe that is. Articulation joint is actually very nice. You can see it even has the latch and the connection for the latch for when you transport it. It has a drive shaft and everything actually looks to be very nice and in scale, which you don't often see too much on a model. The back of it I like because it's very large. It looks nice and proportional. And there really isn't that much detail until you get to the very end. And what I mean by that is that this door right here actually opens to reveal the engine. So that kind of makes up for the articulation in a way. I mean, there's really no excuse for why it won't turn, but it's cool that they added this, and you know, it kind of takes away from that. The whole thing doesn't really turn too much, and that's actually etched through metal. The very back also opens to the radiator, and you can see right there, and there's just a little pocket in there that when it closes it will fit. Unfortunately the back is plastic though. Has a towing hitch which is not removable. I don't think, I never tried to, but it's probably not. And again, this side does open over here, and sometimes they are hard to open, but there you go, and it reveals some of the engine. Top of it is pretty nice. Again, I like the flat gray. You can see the vents, they're etched, not etched through, and these ladders over here are plastic. All these railings on the cab are plastic as well, and the articulation on this side is pretty much the same as the other. Underneath the model is actually, I mean, it's decent. It's a lot better than having it just flat, and you know, that pretty much sums up the review of this model. If you're gonna ask what I think of it, I think that it could use many improvements when it comes to articulation. Besides that, it's a very nice model. I do realize though, with that articulation not really working, it's gonna limit the amount of people to buy the model. I think if I would have known that it didn't work before I bought the model, I would have had second thoughts on buying it. I still would have bought it though. And I also want to say in this review is also for the L150, L180, and L220. They are the same models but with different buckets on them. And all three are discontinued, and they are slowly becoming harder and harder to find. So if you don't have one, pick one up. If you can fix the articulation, that's good, but I do have to say, this is probably the most detailed wheel loader model that I have. So I can't really say anything that bad about it because it's probably the nicest one that I have. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this review.